Hello everyone, it's me Sarah. Welcome to my channel, A Curious Cuttlefish, and today we are looking at the cotton yarn that we have been drying. Hello everyone, welcome to our little yarn adventure with cotton day 4. So I will be showing you the yarns that were dyed and then dried, and I'm going to go through them one by one, and then I'm going to take some time to cake it up so you can see the difference. So let's start with, here is, this is the one that was with my typical method where it is undone like so, and it just sat inside of the pan like this, and that was how it was dyed. So if you look at this, you will see that the coloration is it's a very light, very variegated yarn, and the color went throughout the whole area. There are some areas of this cotton that have more of the navy tint to it, whereas other portions of it have a lot more of the eggplant. But there is, as I had stated, not much of that black food coloring. So you'll see the majority of these cotton yarns, the black food coloring did not really adhere or merge with this yarn. So there is the one that was dyed like this, and I am going to leave this one in hank form. So let me just get that hanked up. I will have some pictures after I've shown you guys all of these in hanks. You'll get to see that, all of them side by side. So there is the hank. This next one is the one that was dyed in this form. It was literally just stuck into the pan like this, and that is how you get this color variation, and I love this effect. It gives you a very tie-dye look. So you see all the variation in that yarn. I'm going to pull it apart here so you can get a better look at it. So if you see here, there are portions that have a lot of white. There are portions that are definitely, they have more color, and it just has this great random variegated look. And so I just love how the yarn comes out when you do it with this method. So if you want to leave it such that you have some white coming through in your colors, this is a great way to do it. This is also a fun method to use if you wanted to have a base color and then dye other colors over it. The base color would then be the white that you are seeing here, and the other colors that you wanted to add over, you could do so. You would just hank it up after you've initially dyed the whole skein that color, and that would give you this look right here. Alright, so now these other two were somewhat similar. This one here, so we do have some white still occurring in here. You, like in the earlier one, you really don't see the black that was used. But here, this is the one that was dyed in a cake. So when you dye it as a cake, your yarn does get a very nice, almost speckled-like appearance to it. If you can see it right there, it looks like it's just been speckled. And I love how this method of dyeing works with the yarn. You can see it still has some lighter areas, and you get such a nice variation of tonal colors. And you will see more of how this works once I cake this up. I am going to put this to the side and I'll come back and show you what it looks like once it is in a cake, because what's really fun is what I dyed the center will slowly change to what was dyed on the outside. You don't see that when it's in hank form, but when it's in cake form, it'll show up. So there's the one that was dyed as a cake. And then finally, I dyed one as it came in the Skein. But I hanked it up because it makes it much easier to dry. And so here it is. And as you can see, there is not nearly as much white in this one as there was in the cake. So this one, by using this method, it did allow the color penetration to go a bit deeper than I had with my cake. So you can see right here, there's not nearly as much white spots. You have both the navy and the eggplant. Not much of that black that I used. You might get a couple touches of gray, but there's not really that much in this yarn. So I'm going to go cake these up, and then I'll show you guys what they look like as cakes. And then I'll also have a little bonus yarn to show you guys that'll explain how some of these colors are absorbed. So let me go do that, and I'll be right back. Hey everyone, so I was able to cake up that yarn, and I'm going to show you guys right now. So this one here, this is the yarn that was dyed as a cake, and you can see those beautiful variegations. And it is definitely more purple on the inside, and then it comes to that blue that you see on the outside. And so there is a subtle change of color, which is great because your piece that you make with it will slowly change color as well in those variegations. So then the other one that I have, this is the one that was dyed as the hank. Again, there's the purple right there in the center, and then there's the blue on the outside. So these both came out beautifully. They are similar, but like I said, you get a more even variegation when it is dyed as a cake as opposed to the skein that the yarn typically comes in. So there are the little methods that I used, how the yarn turned out. I will be showing some pictures here so that you can see. Here's each one. There's the one that I dye where it was all open as the hank. Here's the one that was dyed as a hank, as it is shown here. This next one is the one that was dyed as a cake. And this last one is the one that was dyed in the skein form. So here's a little bonus for you guys. If you remember, I did say that if you wanted to, you can put in some wool to soak up any additional dye, because it does take such a long time for the dye to absorb into the cotton. And so I did throw some wool in there after the purple, and this is what came out. So this is just such a beautiful, rich purple color, very amethyst. Very happy with this one. And here's an interesting thing to note. I didn't realize that it was tied up with a little bit of acrylic. So this went into the dye bath, and you can see the acrylic picked up 0 color, but the wool got all that purple on it. So there's a little interesting comparison for you. So this soaked up the purple, and then when I added in that black dye, we know that it really does not show up much on the cotton. Just like I had stated, food coloring just does not work well with cotton. It doesn't absorb. So gonna have to pause this. Sorry y'all, I had to edit out my landline. My phone was ringing, and yes, we have a landline. How crazy is that? Anyways, so yes, so I had added this when the purple was in, and like I was saying, food coloring really just does not adhere to cotton. It doesn't absorb that well. It doesn't stay in. When I wash it, it all tends to come out. And so there still is a lot of black left in the dye bath. And I had already added this wool in to try to absorb some of it. And this is an interesting thing to note. When you are dyeing yarns, red strikes first. It gets absorbed first into wool, and it often leaves behind blue, and blues take a lot longer to absorb into the fibers. So as a result, there still was a lot of dye in the dye bath, so I added in the second skein, and this is also wool. This is a superwash merino wool, and it picked up all that leftover black that was in the dye bath. It also picked up, there was little hints of purple left in there, so you can see little sections where that purple is in there beautifully. And I am so in love with this color right here. It's such a nice greenish gray with these purple hues showing up throughout. You can see just the slight differences and changes as I turn it. So this was a very happy surprise where I was trying to make sure that I did not waste any dye that was still left in the pan, so I threw this extra skein in to soak up what this skein could not soak up. So just for comparison, you can see right here, these were all dyed in the same pan, all together, right? So you can see the variety. Cottons are definitely not as bright or vibrant as you can get with the wool. And there's different absorptions. As you can see, this one picked up a lot of the black food coloring that was not absorbed into these ones. This one picked up some, which is what gave us this brilliant purple right here. But the black did not go into the cotton. So these are the yarns that resulted from our little yarn dyeing adventure. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a blast just being able to make these yarns and show you guys how that dye process works for cotton yarn. So all that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and I will be putting a couple of these up on my Etsy shop. I hope to be updating sometime this weekend with some of the other yarns from my previous eYarny adventures. Next week I will be showing wool yarns. I think I'm going to be doing different fiber types and showing how the fiber content changes the look and feel of the color. I think that's what I'm going to be doing. Either that or minis. I haven't completely decided, as you can see. I'm not going to ponder on camera. I did a little, not too much. So thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you all soon. Bye.